Chapter 1. The Basics of Survival. Understanding your basic needs. The purpose of shelter is to protect against the elements. Every survival book out there covers shelter, and there's good reason for this. Shelter provides you protection from the elements. Most importantly, it is very good for your mental state. Keeping your mind under control is crucial to surviving any stressful situation. Your attitude, as in how you see the situation and the world around you, makes a big difference in whether or not you will be able to survive. Survive or die, those two concepts are truly states of mind. Shelter will keep the wind, rain, snow, and cold away, and it will also provide feelings of security and confidence. People don't realize this, but your mind is one of your most valuable tools. Your mind and your body. In essence, you are your most valuable tool. You should take care of your tools. Keep your body strong, your mind clear and controlled. The proper shelter will help you achieve this. Keep your shelter small and warm. When you think of the word home, what comes to mind? Your bed? Your living room? The thing that separates a survivor from a victim is their expectation of shelter. The survivor doesn't need a huge shelter because he or she knows that the bigger the shelter, the harder it is to keep warm. Shelter is critical for providing protection while you rest. You will not survive long if your shelter is not comfortable or safe enough to allow you adequate rest. Sleep is essential, especially in a survival situation where you need to be at the peak of your physical and mental game. Put simply, a shelter that properly protects you will allow you to get better sleep. Sleep is important because it ensures your body and mind have the time that they need to rest, repair, and generally sort themselves out. Providing your family a comfortable, warm, and dry shelter is important as well. If you have children or a spouse to think about, knowing the skills in this book will be essential to providing them the safety and nourishment they need to survive alongside you. The more you know. Know the right kind of shelter to build. You can't build an igloo very easily in the desert for a variety of reasons. You have to know how to build the right kind of shelter for the area you are in. Knowing when to build a certain type of shelter is useless if you don't know how to build that type of shelter. For example, my wife and I usually start with just a basic debris hut, no bigger than the average two-person tent. In the next few steps, you will learn about some of the basic shelters that you can build, as well as what you need to know to keep them warm and safe, a place that you can truly call home. Building basic shelter. Debris huts. There is a lot of misinformation regarding debris huts. I will tell you all you need to know about them. So forget everything that you have already read for the time being. Let's start with a clean slate. A debris hut is a simple shelter to make. The idea is to cover a frame with debris to act as insulation. My wife and I use leaves, as our preferred primitive camping areas are near rivers and woodlands. Here is a truth about the debris hut. If you learn to build it right, you have a long-term shelter that will last you for years and protect you in the winter. The trick is to make it right. So, how do you make it right? First, if you're building an emergency shelter, use whatever works. However, to build a sustainable debris hut, you need good, strong wood. Lash your frame together well using generous lengths of cordage. We dig post holes for the posts of the hut's frame to sit in, adding to the structure's foundation and durability. It is important to make sure that you add enough layers. To build it quickly, at least 1 foot of leaves or similar debris or plant material will do. To make something permanent, however, try to add at least 2 feet of debris a day for the first week. We have the first layer of debris and leaves that is 3 feet thick. On top of this, we add a layer of sturdy poles about wrist thick and mud. Every day for the next week, we add 2 feet of debris and another layer of poles and mud. What results is really thick walls that will trap heat better than any modern house. Warming your debris hut. When you are in a survival situation, you aren't always gifted with the most pleasant climate. Even hot desert areas can become bone-chillingly cold, so you will want to have a way to warm your debris hut if the climate calls for it, and it almost always does. Knowing this, my wife and I made a fireplace of mud and stone as we make the frame for our hut before we add layers of debris. This is simply done by using rocks as bricks and mud as the mortar to hold them together. We make a chimney that goes straight up with stone and mud as well. With care to keep the fires small, this debris hut will keep you warm and dry. The best part is that after time, grass will grow and you will have a little hobbit house in a hill. Nothing cooler than that. The debris hut is simple and effective and very useful in areas that make them possible. As long as you have trees and plants around, you can probably build a debris hut. Although all you truly need is the earth, some water, and hopefully a little bit of wood and some stones. Build the right shelter. Building a brick and mortar house. If you have the time, an entire house can be made the way we make our fireplace and chimney. It is much more time-consuming but provides a more traditional household feel. It also maintains heat well and is less likely to go up in flames than a debris hut. This style of hut is similar to an abode hut, which is notably used by the Pueblo Indians as well as other groups throughout history to build shelter. The major difference is that the abode hut is made by pressing together bricks made of mud, sand, clay, and other organic material and letting it dry. The dried bricks are then used with mud to make huts. These are best used near riverbeds, since you will often find an abundance of clay and water. Building a pit house. One could also, using digging stones, dig a pit into the ground, then build an A-frame roof covered with debris on top of that. This, when done properly and in the right location, can provide a safe, comfortable place to live. Note that you should not sleep directly on the ground, though. It is important to always have a raised bed. With pit houses, carpeting is a good idea. The cordage made from tree bark and plant fiber can be woven together to make rudimentary rugs. Practice creating shelter now. It is important to practice building shelters now, and just as important is using those shelters in various weather conditions. By practicing building shelters, you will begin to understand the concepts behind shelter making, insulating, and waterproofing. You will also get an intimate understanding of the uses and limitations of the materials you are using. People sometimes put this off, hoping that in an event of a survival situation, they will be able to find a cave or fallen tree that provides shelter. It is best to make your own, since if you are out in the woods and find a great shelter, you are probably not the first creature to find it. You definitely don't want to snuggle up for a nap only to find a grumpy bear or a horde of bats have returned to their cave. Don't forget to smoke out your hut. Huts made of the earth, and debris huts especially, are nothing more than leaves and sticks over a wooden frame. This makes a wonderful home, but you will not be the only one to think so. This is a paradise, a Garden of Eden for spiders. Be sure to smoke out debris huts and any other plant-based huts before you use them. We found this out the hard way. Know your types of wood and what they're good for. There are several different types of wood, and while they all will work for firewood and building, some types of wood are better suited for certain tasks. For example, hickory can be processed to make salt, and pine sap acts as a wonderful fuel for fire starting and candle making. By knowing how to recognize the various types of wood and using them for the tasks they are best suited for, your wood gathering will be most efficient. You can choose the woods that work best for the task at hand and ensure that you are using each of them to their maximum potential. The next few tips will go over wood types for building and furnishing your home, as well as providing a source of cooking fuel and heat. It is important to know how to provide yourself the things that you buy from others. Knowing that you can provide yourself a comfortable chair or a nice sturdy table with nothing more than your bare hands and the tools the earth provides you will give you the feeling that you are in control of your life in a profound way. Not all types of wood are the same. Wood varies in not only texture but also density. Even the grains are important, helping to determine which use the wood is suited for. Choosing firewood. When looking for a good log to burn in your fire, don't just look for something dry. Look for hardwood. A hardwood log will burn much longer than a softwood log will. Some of the best hardwoods include hickory, birch bark, and oak. However, do not think that softwoods do not have their place in creating and maintaining fire. While softwood will burn hotter, it will also burn faster. I like to use softwood as a snack for the fire and let the hardwood be the meal. All you need to know about hickory wood. I prefer to cook with hickory. It's my favorite. You can also extract salt from hickory too. Because of these two factors, I lump hickory into the fire for food category. I won't go out of my way to burn hickory for heat. Unless I really have to due to limited resources, I prefer to use hickory as my special fuel. Hickory is identifiable by its leaves, which grow in a long stalk with long, narrow leaves. They are about 2 centimeters long and have round serrations on the outside of the leaves with sharply pointed teeth. The leaf sections, which are known as rachis, may have between 5 and 17 leaves, with larger leaves toward the top of the stalk. The bark of the hickory tree has ridges that can be far apart or close together. The tree also produces hickory nuts, which have a woody husk or outer shell with a tan or white nut inside that is the size of a gumball.